Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about WeChat privacy and address its exploitation by malicious users. Specifically, I'll be focusing on new privacy issues raised by the People Nearby feature. At a glance, WeChat currently has 600 million registered users, of which 355 million of them are active monthly users. It is now the 5th most used app in the world, which makes it a really attractive target for malicious users. Now, we'll be looking at the People Nearby feature more closely. This is typically classified as a location-based social discovery service, and it allows users to meet other users through the program itself. Other social apps that make use of LBSD services include Tinder and Grindr. The one feature that distinguishes People Nearby is that it showcases the proximity of user locations. Obviously, to protect user privacy, WeChat already has some existing security features in place. For example, it won't provide the exact distance to nearby users, and it uses a complex but unknown algorithm to randomly choose people for the list. Finally, all lists generated are temporary and are deleted when the page is reaccessed. Despite this, however, it is still very possible for people to exploit the feature, given its existing privacy barriers, and compromise user privacy. I will now walk you all through an experiment conducted in Midtown Manhattan in January 2014 to prove that despite these existing privacy barriers, malicious users still can track sensitive user information. Over here is the experimental pipeline of the experiment. Now let us look at the apps that we need in order to carry out the experiment. First, we need the BlueStacks Android emulator to run the LBSD application, or in this case, simulate the WeChat program. Then we will use fake GPS to spoof our location. This is a very powerful program that allows us to manipulate our GPS location to correspond to any valid geographical address in the world. Other devices will then be deceived into reading this spoofed location as the actual location of the user. Complementing this fake GPS program is the usage of probes as shown by the red dots in this map. For this experiment, 16 probes were placed in Midtown Manhattan area. Each probe simulated one WeChat account, and one computer would be in charge of collecting data from 2 probes. After scanning the People Nearby function at the first probe, the system would remain idle for 2 minutes and then scan people at the second probe. This process would reiterate every 30 minutes. So now we have these apps that mimic a smartphone operating system. So now we need Sikuli to automate interaction with the emulator and perform tasks like clicking buttons, scrolling, and basically simulating human interaction. Sikuli also grabs the screenshots of the list generated by People Nearby feature and processes it through an optical character recognition tool to extract text. To minimize errors for this process, FineReader is used to extract text as well, and then write them to an editable text file. In all, data was collected between the 11th of January to the 17th of January 2014. After the collection, the data was processed and stored as a tuple containing user's name, distance, timestamps, and coordinate. In total, over 128,813 entries corresponding to 1,794 English names were collected. To narrow down the scope for analysis, non-English names and names that occurred more than once were eliminated from the dataset. As was previously discussed, WeChat uses a complex and unknown algorithm to decide when a user will be shown. For this experiment specifically, when a given user reveals his location to the WeChat servers, the probes close to the user will include him in the list. During the next iteration, the same user might reappear in a different probe nearby, and if the user never changed locations between iterations and has not sent a new People Nearby request, then the probe subset can be combined, and the overlapping area would contain the user's precise location. In short, this additional information further reduces the area in which the user might be located in. Given that we can find out where the user was present at and at what time, it is possible to actually stalk an individual and gain access to sensitive private information. These 3 maps showcase the time span between the 11th of January to the 17th of January and the timestamps of specific users at precise locations in Midtown Manhattan. So from these 3 screenshots, it is actually possible to draw out the footsteps of the user. And for crimes such as robbery, it is possible to actually pinpoint a victim. Over here is a table reflecting the number of locations where different users were identified. And over here is a screenshot taken from a recent consumer report from global media agency We Are Social. Given that it is very likely that the users collected by the probe were likely commuting, at work, or studying, it makes it even easier for malicious users to compromise the safety. In close, this experiment does prove that it is possible to stalk individuals within a reasonably large geographical space. Having said that, it is now up to WeChat to tighten their privacy restrictions, given that the privacy of their user base could potentially be compromised. Thank you for listening.